whispers like a spell my doom, but I've got a soul that can't diagnose. I've walked through fire and I'm still close to everything I'm meant to be, not just what they see. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed, I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Some days hurt, some days shine, but I've made peace with this heart of mine. I've got cracks, but they let light in. That's where the strength begins. No shame in being real, that's how I heal. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed, I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Might walk a little slower, but my heart beats just as loud. Might fall and get back up again, but I wear that proud. 'Cause brave looks different on everyone, and I'm proud of who I've become. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm more than pain, more than letters next to my name. I've got fire, I've got grace, I've got hope you can't erase. So don't you tell me who I am, I'm writing that with my own hand. I'm still singing loud and clear. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. And I'm not my diagnosis.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Person Behind the Pen. My name is Nick. I am the founder of Guiding Brilliant Writers, and I have a very special episode lined up today. We have no special guests. We do have a guest. I believe she's against this shoulder. No, still don't get it right. This shoulder. Today, I will be doing a reading of one of my chapters. I have now written in 12 different anthologies. To date, I have not shared any of my stories live, and I thought it was time for me to do so. I selected the story and We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses. This is the most recent publication by Guiding Brilliant Writers. Whoops, book is upside down. These are all the writers that are in the book with me. And we did attain international bestseller in many, many categories. So this particular story is near and dear to my heart. It's not just a shared part of my journey, but it's one of the lost, I would say, defining moments in my life. That was the start of me getting where I am today. This story goes back about 5 years. And for me personally, to be here in front of an audience today sharing this is, I will get emotional. I know I will. And I do want to let you know that I will be showing my medication on this episode. I am not a doctor. I am not a licensed therapist. I am none of those things. I'm simply a woman who lives with bipolar 2 disorder and lives a very fruitful, happy, and successful life. And I hope that I can share with all that this is possible. It's the one thing that you take away from this show is that you can to be more, choose to be more than your diagnoses. They do not define you. You get to decide. So I have opened up the stage. The link is in the most recent post on my wall. It's not in the comments, it's right there in the post. At 6:30 p.m., anyone is welcome to join me on stage. I welcome your questions, any comments that you would like to make. And if you know someone that could benefit from this show today, from the reading of this story, please invite them. The QR code to purchase the book is above my left shoulder. And so with that, I'm going to get started. Dying to Live by Nicole and Guy Galindo. The ambiance while sitting here in my living room, about to write my chapter, is perfect, fitting for the story to follow. In another hour or so, the moon will be up. The blinds are drawn now earlier than usual. The shadows being cast in the room from the 1-inch slits of light coming through the vertical gaps in the blinds loom behind me. I feel their eyes staring holes into the back of my neck. They are troubled by what I am about to share. When I bring them into the light, they no longer exist. I had to find a way to survive this again or lose everyone I loved and all the ground I had covered since the last time I fell to my knees. If I didn't, I feared that all the other times that I'd been here, one step closer to my death, would now be one time too many. Death was what awaited me if I didn't find a way. The soreness in the fleshy part of my palms lingered days after the incident, even though the redness had disappeared. Staring at the ceiling fan whirling slowly above me, that horrific morning drive to work a week ago played slowly in my mind, even slower than the sluggish movement of the ceiling fan. It was, oopsies, fighting with the pages, sorry. Told you I was nervous. It's funny, I'm not nervous when I have guests on. Okay. A red light and the screeching of tires beside me shook me out of my daze. It did so thankfully, so that I could slam my foot on the brake. I wondered as I glanced to my left. Was the woman at the wheel in the car beside me watching her life crumble before her eyes as well? Did she feel it? Feel it coming? What was she going to do about it? I shivered. Was she really there? Or was the little voice being sucked down into the quicksand that was my logic, throwing out these questions to me? When the light turned green, I pulled hurriedly over into the next street on my right. I stopped, just shy of the edge of the driveway belonging to the house on the cul-de-sac. Suddenly, my arms flew up into the air, grazing the cool vinyl ceiling of my truck. Just as suddenly, my arms crashed down. My palms hit the steering wheel so hard that I could feel the vibration up to my elbows. In a rhythmic movement, I kept repeating the rise and fall of my arms. Each time that my open palms hit the steering wheel, I screamed, "Why me? Why now? I can't do this again." I made it to work that day, 10 minutes late, and with the third burrito taken to my desk. I set it beside my other lateness souvenirs. Dragging myself into a sitting position, I gingerly turned and dropped my feet off the side of the bed. I needed to go to the bathroom. I needed to put the ceiling fan on a higher speed because I couldn't feel the droplets of sweat dropping down the side of my left temple. I was making my way unsteadily to the corridor that led to the bathroom when I started retching. The disgusting bile filled my mouth. not wanting to spit it out and make another mess for my husband to clean up when he returned from work, I found the strength to dash to the bathroom. Back to bed a few minutes later, and again the floodgates flew open. This was my third mini breakdown today. Could a person really have multiple breakdowns in the span of just one day? The first one happened at 6:15 a.m. as my husband was leaving for work. I didn't want him to go because I did not want to be alone. Yet, whenever he was at home, he was sitting perched on the edge of the bed at my side, simply holding my hands in his warm ones, staring intently at me while I said nothing. My tummy was growling. I couldn't remember when was the last time that I ate something. I could smell the spiciness of the roasting jalapenos in the air, my eyes slightly burning. I loved working in my in-laws' Mexican restaurant with my husband. We were in the throes of COVID, and I knew so many people were trapped in their homes. I felt lucky to be able to have somewhere to go every day. We served takeout over a table set up at the front door. How funny that I was working in a Spanish restaurant, me, a Trinidadian-born woman, trying to recall the 5 years of this foreign language that I'd mastered enough to get an outstanding grade upon high school graduation. Months later, when I did return to my full-time office job, I would still work at the restaurant part-time. Well, it was full-time hours around a part-time schedule. Between the two jobs, I was putting in 4 16-hour days a week and 2 12-hour days on the weekend. I was happily exhausted until that exhaustion caught up to me, forcing me on a downward spiral. It was a slow spiral that began with me trying to hold on, digging my fingernails into the surface of reality. I lost the battle. On my way down, I caught glimpses of the empty antidepressant bottles rolling around at the back of the top drawer of the bathroom vanity. I heard the clinking of the empty beer bottles stuffed into doubled 13-gallon drawstring plastic bags as I snuck out the door to take them to the garage can at the side of the house. Fridays 5 and Saturdays 6 plus the doubles on a weeknight after reaching home at 11 p.m. I had been drinking about a case of beer plus a week. Legs swung off the side of the bed for the second time today. I dragged my feet going into the kitchen. I opened the refrigerator. Of course, there was no beer in it. When I crashed, my husband popped the cap off of each bottle of the beer that was left in the refrigerator and poured the bitter golden liquid down the drain. To this day, I still crave that first icy sip from the salt-rimmed bottle on a scorching summer day. It is summer now, and I know that one of these upcoming weekends, I will have to fight back the urge. Yet, after the second sip, I'm so turned off. I reached into the refrigerator and removed a vanilla-flavored yogurt. It seemed that I could only get down non-solids these days. Smoothies, jello, and soup made up my diet for the last 3 weeks. Tomorrow is Saturday, I thought. How is it? I lost track of which day of the week it was. If so, then our telehealth call was at 9 a.m. Our telehealth call, because my husband participated in these each week, wanting to hear what my psychiatrist had to say about the progress he reported. I certainly didn't feel as if any progress were being made. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you were trying, you aren't getting anywhere? I felt as if I was swimming with all my upper body strength against the strongest current, which only keeping me in the same spot. That evening, after my husband returned from work, he got me out of my robe and into a tee and jogging pants. He had to double knot the drawstring after cinching in the waistband because the pants was letting off my skinny hips. He half dragged, half carried me to the back porch and gently eased me into a rocking chair. The one that he had in the bedroom of his apartment when we were dating. The one I would rock back and forth in while imitating rowing a boat and singing row, row, row your boat. Then we would look at each other and both burst out laughing. Where had that woman gone? It seemed that every now and then, over the last 40 years of my life, I would lose her. As the third week rolled into the fourth, I slowly started gaining my strength back. The combination of medication that I had been prescribed was working its way back into my system. 2 antidepressants, Selexin Wellbutrin, plus the mood stabilizer, lamotrigine. My appetite slowly started returning and I could keep down some solids. Every day my sister would call on her lunch break to see how I was doing. We would chat for 10 or 15 minutes and then I would go back and lay down. An hour or so later, I would get back up and sit on the couch, which faced the sliding doors that opened onto the back porch. Just a week ago, I could not draw the lines. Now I did. I sat at a folding dinner table building a puzzle from the dollar store. This became my weekday routine. By the time my 2-month short-term disability came to an end, I had pieced together 3 500-piece puzzles and completed a 1,500-piece one that I had started a month before I fell apart. It seemed that building puzzles was the only thing that distracted me from the emptiness in my brain, the numbness in my heart. Even so, a turmoil of emotions crawled along the surface of my skin incessantly. One morning, a few weeks later, I gathered up our dirty laundry into 3 plastic, color-coordinated baskets, loaded them into our pickup, and sent my husband a text message that I was going to the laundromat. He immediately dialed back, and when I answered, I knew he knew that I was going to be okay. Those were the longest 2 months of our lives. I have lived the nightmare before with others. Would not be able to withstand the bipolar blow that I was dealt every time I misstepped, or for whatever reason, the universe seemed bored and needed to get a hoot out of messing with my head. Do you know what it feels like to go from feeling so afraid and helpless that you would not take a shower unless your husband was sitting on the closed toilet seat waiting for you, to get back behind the wheel after 2 months of not driving? You may never have lived this exact scenario, but I bet that every single one of you have felt both powerless at times and then empowered again. The sad truth is that I had seen it coming. It was not my first Ferris wheel ride. I knew that with the controls unmanned, every top of ride would result in a seamless 180 to the bottom of ride. I knew that unmanned it would feel like the most twisted, fearsome, heart-plunging roller coaster ever built, and I hated rides. Knowing that never stopped me from jumping on the damn ride before, but this time was the worst. A few days on the ride was one thing. 8 weeks, a whole other story. 2 months before I went on NSD, my husband had lost his job due to COVID. He started a new job 2 weeks after I had to run away from mine. We cleaned out our modest savings, and the disability check, a whopping $171 a week, just about covered the psychiatrist's fees without medical benefits. The $50 left over each week went toward my medication. A combination of working myself almost to death, self-medicating with alcohol, and being irresponsible about managing my bipolar medicine almost cost me my life. Again. The drinking had not been a part of the mix before. Overworking myself was nothing new to me. Strangely, I haven't completed a puzzle since I have saved them all, however. My husband carefully taped them all at the back, and one of them sits on my desk at work now. The big one. The 1,500-piece one. A reminder, yes, of a period in my life where ill-made and oftentimes ill-fitting puzzle pieces, purchased for $1 for $500, saved my life They kept my hands moving and my mind thinking, while the medication my brain needed did its thing. Life is like a box of chocolates or a scamp. Or is it like a puzzle? Life is like a puzzle. Nick, the gifted bipolar writer. Each piece is not meant to be placed until it's time. You will spot the pieces and they may convey something to you, though you don't know what just yet. Perhaps it's a bit of color that will catch your eye, the curve of an outline, the shadow on a piece of white, but until that piece is meant to be placed, it will not fit. The picture will not become clear until all of the pieces are placed. I held on to building those puzzles during that time. I know now it was a way to maintain control over something when everything else around me, or rather within me, was spinning out of control. Once I took back control of my life, with the help of medication and talk therapy, the universe knew better than to mess with me. That last fall, the one where I had to forgive myself so that I could heal, was in 2020. On July 1st of 2021, we purchased our first home. A year later, my husband, who was brought to the USA by his parents when he was 5 years old, and who had lived here his whole life trying to attain legal status, got his green card. Today, he is a naturalized American citizen. The job that I returned to after my 2 month absence, the one where, on the first day of my return, I was sat down in a conference room and told by the vice president to never discuss what happened with any of my coworkers, is now history. I'd been to hell and back, and I'd be damned if the person that signed my paycheck felt he owned my life enough that he could tell me what I could and could not share with others. I've spent the last few years of life, I've spent the last few years living a life of gratitude, finding joy in the simple things, like savoring a good cup of coffee while sitting on the back stoop, looking out onto our beautiful backyard. It is surrounded by trees on the perimeter, but flat for the 200 feet it extends into the wooded area at the back, where the deer like to wander in from and nibble at whatever it is they seem to feast on. The day after this book launch, July 5th, will be the second year anniversary with my company. I walked into this one wearing my bipolarness on my sleeve. Like my boss says, Nicole is a storm system. You have to see what's coming before it hits. They know who I am, where my heart is. They give me the space and the grace I need when I need it. As a result, my focus and my work are 100 times what it's ever been. I will never again hide who I am from anyone. I will never again ignore the whispered voice that I know belongs to me and the almost imperceptible message it carries. Imperceptible because of all the noise of the world around me drowning it out. You must stay in tune to the pitch of that whisper. You must trust it to guide you and stop and heed what it's telling you. Your very life depends on it. Mine did, and because I didn't heed it, I almost lost it. We all have survival instincts within us, but that does not guarantee that we will all survive. In fact, some will never again step into the light because they have lived in the dark for too long. Sharing my story has helped many people to understand that we must first embrace that which we think is so wrong with us as the very thing that can be so right about us. It is the thing that pushes us to take the broken pieces and make ourselves whole again. And once you're whole again, you will want nothing more than to help others bring their shadows into the light so they no longer exist. Are you ready to step into the light? This chapter with minor alterations was written by me in 2024 and was published with another publisher July 4th, 2024, almost a year to the date that this book, We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses, My Vision, and now, as a publisher myself, is published on July 1st, 2025. My hope is that after reading my chapter, you see the passing of time and how living in faith and not fear can change what appears to be one's fate. I want to thank you all for giving me this time to share my chapter in We Choose to Be More Than My Diagnoses. I hope that any part of the story that I shared with you today helps you to understand that you are not alone. And it does not have to be a bipolar diagnosis. It can be any diagnosis. We all have our crosses to bear. And thankfully, we all have the power within us to breathe, to reflect, to grow. And when we do get to that level of self-awareness, it is so, so crucial to reach back and pull someone else forward. There is no reason why anyone in this world should feel judged. I should feel lesser than, should feel undeserving of everything life has to offer. If you cut me, I will bleed just like you. If you hurt me, I'm going to cry. If you push me, I'm going to get angry. We all have feelings. Do not blame people's emotions and reactions on a diagnosis that they have. That is one of the most crippling things you can do to someone with a diagnosis. All my life, I've had to hear, oh, she behaves like that because she's bipolar. You have to excuse her. No. At the start of the show, I played a beautiful video, song written by Crystal B, and the video done by Aaron Gibson. What I'm going to play for you now is the video highlighting all of the co-authors in this anthology. Each one of them walks a journey daily, living with various diagnoses. Many are here in the audience, showing up. And if that is not enough of an example for you to see these people, not just look, see what it means to show up for one another without judgment, with nothing but embrace and acceptance, then I don't know what else could possibly be done for someone holding a stigma to release it. I'm going to highlight some of the comments now because I would really like to thank everyone for being here, for myself, and most of each other. When we are present, we acknowledge someone else's life. Which one of us does not want to be seen, heard, and felt? It is past time now that we treat each other the way that we wish to be treated. We have Jenlyn backstage, and I'm going to bring her up shortly. But I want to make sure that I say hello to everyone. Sharon, it's so great to see you, and thank you for all the work that you're doing for guiding brilliant writers as our virtual assistant. Jason, my friend, and I know Jody's right next to you. So much hugs and love for absolutely everything you have done to not just support the company, but to support me as a person. I know that this is LinkedIn user Jenlyn. I believe Dr. Tanya might also be here. Yes, I did see you out there. It is so great to see you. Aaron, thank you so much for joining. I know you're joining from the baseball field, so I do appreciate that. Please give your son a big hug and a kiss for me. Sandra, I see you as well. And Lydia, Charles, Mrs. Freckles is up here. Yes, we do live in a crazy world. But hey, listen, we're here to make it fun, right? Yes, we are. Noni Varani, it's so nice to see you as well. And I am scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Marissa, it's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Leslie, hello. Jane, I'm so glad you and Theodore are there watching. And Crystal B and Crystal Chilcott, hello. So wonderful to see everyone. So before I bring Jenlyn up, I'll take a quick second to show you something. Every single morning since October 4th, 2020, I have woken up and taken these medications. This one is a Tolopram. It's a generic Celexa. There are 2 bottles. Unfortunately, I need 30 milligrams, and they only come in 20 and 10. Gotta love the medication industry for you. They do not come in 30s. This one is Wellbutrin. The generic is bupropion. Some of you may have heard of this one. People take them sometimes to help them curb smoking cravings. Now this one is lamotrigine. This is a mood stabilizer. I'll share a little backstory. When I was 26, my aunt dragged me off to the doctor. I was falling apart. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't take care of my son. He was 5. The general practitioner put me on Zoloft. I didn't have medical at that time, so I got whatever samples were on the shelf, and that's how I lived life. Except I didn't really live life. Life lived me. Until I spoke to a psychiatrist who prescribed 2 antidepressants and a mood stabilizer, which I couldn't understand why 2. But from his explanation, and this is coming from him, not me, some antidepressants take you up, but they take you too higher. Some lower you, for example, when you're in a state of mania, but they carry you too low. There is actually such a need to combine some of these to level them out. I have never been on a mood stabilizer. I get up every morning, I put these 4 pills in my hand, and they go down the hatch, just like somebody else with vitamins. I will not, I repeat, not allow anyone to tell me that I'm crazy because I take meds. What's crazy is that I listen to you telling me I'm crazy because I take meds. That's what's crazy. Because I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure I don't wake up 6 feet under. And if anybody else out there is telling you otherwise, then you need to ask yourself, is this person really putting you first? Because you're going to find that when you meet somebody who is in the throes of a mental illness, they oftentimes cannot help themselves. And that's what I shared in my story. I was not there to help myself. And we rely on the people around us who love us to help us. So if you have somebody out there that you care for, that you know is struggling with something mentally, Do not tell them that by taking medication they're broken. By doing that, you are the one putting them 6 feet under. I hate to say that, but it's the goddamn truth. And if you're not sure, educate yourself. I am very worked up, and I will not apologize for that, because I have now lived the best 5 years of my life. God has now given me the chance to publish 70 stories. And I will keep going, and I will keep fighting, and this publishing company will keep helping people to heal and empower and own their stories. Thank you. Jenlyn, come up here and save me before I bust into tears.
I will maybe save you from busting into tears just by saying, bravo for the no apology, because there is no need to have an apology, and bravo for sharing your story, because it's so powerful, and we do not have to apologize for caring for ourselves, and understanding how the system that is our body is different than somebody else's. Like, there's 9 million different body systems walking around, and each single one of ours is different.
Yes. And, I don't believe that there's any one medication or combination of medications that is going to work for everyone. I really do not. And, when somebody says, so, well, I tried this and it worked. Well, I tried that and it worked. Well, you really should go natural. All those things are wonderful. And I am not saying that natural is a bad thing. It is not. But understand that in the process of you doing trial and error, you are losing time in your life that you will never get back again. Okay? You are unknowingly and unintentionally creating situations that cannot be reversed. You are hurting people around you when you know in your heart that you are made of nothing but love. And no one's blaming you, and that's what I need you to understand.
Nick,
I'm sorry.
no one? No. I just want to say, I just want to mirror that back to you. No one blames you. No one blames you, Nick. No one does.
Even with all my talk, I'm human just like everyone else. And I still have those moments when you will have regrets.
Absolutely.
When I do wish that my son at 8 wasn't trying to feed me or get me out of bed for work, or asking me why is the cable cut this month, because mom missed 3 days of work because she couldn't stop crying. Or when he's knocking on the bathroom door because I've been in there for 2 hours and the water's running. It breaks my heart, Janine, that there are so many people out there struggling, and some not even to this degree, but they're struggling and they don't need to. That's the thing. It's like they don't need to. People talk all the time about, people talk about it. Well, where are the resources? NAMI, NAMI. Everybody has internet. Everybody has a cell phone. NAMI. There's the resources. It is global.
Yes.
You don't know where to start? Start there. Start reading. Start typing in the symptoms, the things that you see in someone when you know that 90% of the time this is not who they are. And something is wrong. You know it, you feel it. Don't brush it aside. don't wait till tomorrow, don't wait till next week. You don't know when that person will end up a statistic. And it happens.
It does. Sometimes it happens even when you do everything right. And I think that that's something also that's really important. Um, if you're struggling, as you're struggling, there is support in a million different places and spaces. It's so important to, even if all you can do, and we've all been there, I think, when all you're doing is sitting there just rocking yourself, saying to yourself, right, I this is not truth, this is not true, this is not true, me, that is a mantra. Let it move your fingers, like you said, across the keyboard to look something up. Let it allow you to call out for help. And this is the number one thing I can say. Don't reach out to your friends and family. And I'm going to say that again. Do not reach out to your friends and family. Most often than not, that's more harmful because they are struggling just as much as you are to understand and to help you.
It's true.
Reach out to professionals, right?
It's true. Crystal, hi, honey.
Hi, Crystal.
And I wanted
Hello,
to
my beautiful loves. I just got off of work. I was listening, and I just wanted to say how much I love both of you. And Nick, your chapter was amazing when I read it, but hearing you read it, it's that
Mm.
much more empowering. It hits you, if that makes any sense.
It does every single time I
I
read
know
up here.
I haven't been around, but working 7 days a week, it's really hard. And I've been trying, I've been posting and on all of my other socials and everything. I've gotten very good reviews from friends that have bought the book. I just wanted to let you know. And I just wanted to say that I love you both. You both are amazing and very near and dear to my heart. And I actually had a second to jump up and just tell you how much you both have impacted my life in so many different ways. And I love you both. But now I am going to drive safely home. So
Yeah,
I haven't even
me
left
too.
work parking lot because I saw that I could jump in and just show a little love and support to you guys. Okay?
Absolutely appreciate it, and thank you. And please get home safely. And I believe that it's either happy belated birthday or happy birthday.
So I love you guys so much.
Did you hear me?
I
Okay,
love you
bye.
too.
I could barely hear you. I'm sorry. Love
It's
you.
okay. Bye.
Bye.
Um,
So that was very nice of Crystal. And to piggyback off of what Janlyn was saying, it's hard. Sometimes you're not sure who you can reach out to, right?
right.
Depending on your family situation, sometimes that is not a viable avenue to go. Um, Many families are not close knit. There are many that are, but there are just as many that aren't. Um, Friends as well. It's difficult because they're friends and then they're friends, right? And sometimes when you're not in the clearest state of mind, it's really hard to decipher between the two.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the friend that's telling you everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be
No.
okay. It's not
Right.
the friend. I'm going to take a moment because I was scrolling back and I was able to pull up like 3, but I think LinkedIn really hates me because I spend way too much time out there. So they think I'm a bot. July 17th. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for talking so openly about your bipolarity. I'm also infected since around 10 years ago. All the best. The gentleman doesn't speak English. He's not from an English-speaking country, but he found a way to communicate with me. Another one.
Yeah.
Nicole, I'm glad you accepted my connection request. I do have the superpower of bipolar disorder, and I use it to maximize my work within higher education administration. I look forward to your posts. I've had dozens of people reach out over the years. I can't share too much because it's people's privacy. But when people reach out to you to tell you thank you for being open about your story, thank you for being okay to take the judgment and the criticism and the punches.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that there was a time when you couldn't take them, and now you can. Now you take them for someone else, and you help them get to this point where they too can take it for someone else. And that's how we keep going.
Yeah.
Sharon is backstage. I'm going to bring her
Yes.
up. Gentlemen, what would you like
I
to share?
wanted to actually ask you, because you're bipolar 2, I'm bipolar 1, and I've had bouts, right? And I've been told, actually, both across the board. My dad was schizophrenic, and so the difference of the experience is not that wide, right? It's just these few little things that make that
Yes.
different and separate.
Mm-hmm.
And
Correct.
I was gonna just ask you, like, what is your number one go-to recognition that you are experiencing something that's related to your bipolar 2, right? Like, because I think it's really important for us to be able to talk about how we recognize it for
Yeah.
others to be able to,
Absolutely. And that's an excellent question because my father is diagnosed with bipolar 1 with mania. So with bipolar 1, there is this mania side. So he gets in these highs where he is like off the wall. Like, I don't think he even knows who he is. And he is walking around displaying the oddest behavior. I mean, just walking around 2 o'clock in the morning, making weird noises. I don't mean like talking noises, like bloop, 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 like, like odd behavior, right? And that can go on for days.
Yeah.
What I've noticed with bipolar 2 and for people that I've spoken with who have bipolar 2 disorder, this one seems to be more on the depressive side, lesser than the mania side. Now,
Yes.
it does not mean that you don't have
both.
Both. Now, I've certainly experienced the highs, not the highs to the extent that I don't know who I am and people don't know who I am, but to the point that the desire to use dangerous behaviors to fulfill a need, let's call it, because I get an adrenaline rush, is there, right? I gotta buy $100 worth of scratch tickets every week. I gotta go out in the skimpiest thing and look the most beautiful because I gotta get all the attention. I gotta, so these things are real. When you read these symptoms, people, they are real. They actually happen.
Absolutely.
And for me now, because I've got to this point in my life, I feel that I'm able to recognize because I stop. And the first thing I tell myself is, what is triggering this feeling? If I can put my finger on a what, then I tell myself right away, this is not a bipolar episode, Nicole. Okay? This just happened and it made you upset. You just read a post. Is that somebody you care about lost their puppy? You're feeling sad. Now, if I'm feeling sad for 3 days straight, and I couldn't possibly tell you why, and for 3 mornings straight, I can't get out of bed. When the alarm goes off in my head, I just want to keep my eyes closed and I just want to keep sleeping and I just want to roll over. Then I know something's wrong. When you can't connect it to something tangible, that's when you know something's wrong. It's like something went in your head and just flipped the switch and you're in the dark. That's how I know. So, I mean, like blabbing away here.
I think it's so important.
Sorry.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say that I wanted to make sure that everybody out there with a diagnosis of any kind understands one very important thing that it took me a while to learn. Not until I was in my mid to late 20s did I actually learn this with the help of a psychologist. If I agree that everybody should go look for help from professionals, but there's no professional that is a god. Okay, so if you're dealing with a professional and they're not listening to you, trust me, move on, because there's 1,000 different people with the same title. You have to find the professional that's going to make you part of the team and understand that you are the driver of the team, because nobody knows you better than you. I made the mistake for years because of my diagnosis. I was dealing with doctors all the time from the time I was an infant. And I gave doctors this God complex. And if a doctor told me to roll over twice and bark, I probably would have done it because the doctor was telling me to do it so I would feel better. And
point.
In my 20s, I went through something and nobody was listening to me. Everybody kept telling me it's in my head, it's in my head, it's in my head. And I'm not going to say anymore. If you want to know what I'm referring to, that part is in my chapter. But I just wanted to say, please keep going until you find a professional that listens to you and takes you seriously. I know it's going to frustrate you. I know it's going to frustrate you having to go from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor, but it can't be more frustrating than not being listened to.
You're so right, Sharon. We are our biggest advocate. And, you know, we just live in a world where nobody has time. Nobody has time to stop and listen. Nobody has time to take 1 second look. Nobody, you know, and it boils down to our life, our life. Mm-hmm. Yes, because if you're laying in a bed every single day crying, that's not a life. Gentlemen, what? So, like, you asked me, right? And I'm curious in your case, because I saw you nod in your head when I talked about bipolar 1, and you know that's where you are. So how do you know when you're going into or do you even know?
Yeah, I think that for me now, I after I don't know 30 years am on the right combination right now for my body and for honey, I have
I don't care that I'm on medication.
Yeah, and no, I was gonna I am taking, you know, I take paroxetine, or what do I take? Paxil and Seroquel, right? And also a mood stabilizer. I've tried and been on the same medications that you showed. And I have 32 prescriptions that I take every single day, multiple times a day. So there's a lot. And it all helps me to live my best life. I wouldn't be alive without them. And that's the truth of the matter. And I also do all the other things, right? So one of the ways that I have learned is, and you said something about, you know, like, what am I upset about? What has happened? So the very first question that I ask myself, so for me, it would be maybe up 3, 4, 5 days straight cleaning the baseboards with the toothbrush, making sure that every single thing is some, throw some OCD up in there, that everything is in order. All of the labels are exactly right. Everything's alphabetized, color coded, like just into this insane level.
Yeah.
And I now, if I start feeling that way, and or the other that was definitely something for me, is that feeling of over over sensual, over needing to feel like the sexiest person in the room, right? Show the skin, be feel wanted to feel wanted.
Yes.
So like
Yeah.
it's a very real thing. And so when I start to feel that or have this think that I need to do that, I recognize it and I do ask because of the chemicals being different, the language that each of them speak is different. So instead of it saying to you, I'm sad, it says, oh yeah, wear that skimpy thing. That's good. Yeah. Right? It communicates differently. So when we learn to identify that, then I can stop and then I will stop and am I sad? Am I angry? Am I lonely? What is it that I'm actually feeling? What's the feeling that is really communicating through this different language that I don't understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can take the steps to work through whatever that is and whatever it is that requires me of. But I have spent my life understanding how my body is communicating to me because it speaks in a different language, and I am the only one that can understand the language of myself. And yeah.
It's like Sharon says, and um, Sharon, you raised such an amazing point because I started a couple minutes late, so I'm running a couple minutes early. I mean, if you would like to stay, it's really appreciated. Share with someone the replay. Um, I think it's so important that we continue to have these conversations, but having these conversations and it stay here does nothing. These conversations need to be had and they need to be shared. They need to get into places. If you're in groups, I am in diagnoses groups, I'm in mental health groups, share the replay. But don't just share it. Say something. Say something about why you feel that it's necessary to look at this. Yes, I shared my story, but the story is not about me. Oh, look, I'm a published author. That's not what this was about, right? This was about the fact that you can share your story, there's a vehicle, but it's the story. And the story is you. The chapters are not, they haven't stopped being written. We're all here. We're still writing the chapters. And we get to change what's in the chapter tomorrow, sometimes with help. But that's where people are here to help. Sharon, tell me, I know we're closing in on time, but you and Aaron, your son, both wrote this. And you guys have different diagnoses.
True.
You as his mom have way more. And, so on top of dealing with what you have to deal with daily, you're also a parent.
Yep.
I had one diagnosis to deal with, one, right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine having multiple and being a parent on top of that. I mean, what on earth is that like?
If you asked me that years ago, my answer would be very different. But I have really come to lean into who I am. And I think Jen Lynn helped me say it best. So, Jen Lynn and I were talking recently, and, I recently got a couple of new gifts added into my gifts that my cerebral palsy has bestowed on me. But I realized that through my life, I was trying to push beyond boxes and be everything that I can be to prove to the world that I was more than my diagnosis, and also to prove to myself that I was more than my diagnosis, because the world only saw me as my diagnosis for so much of my life. And there's still people that do that today, and we're getting better, but we still have a ways to go. And I think for me, what transpired and Jen Lin basically said, stop trying, I'm not quoting you directly, but stop trying to live your life as though you're not somebody, that you're somebody without a diagnosis or without a disability, because you do have to put your legs up 4 to 5 times a day, or you are going to get a blood clot and you are going to die, and you're not going to be able to do anything for your son or anybody else. And
That's owning
so
it.
I now I mean, I've always tried to live my life that way in a sense, but I was always being told I couldn't do things. And the more I was told I couldn't do something, the more it drove me to prove people wrong. And I would go to my grave trying to, prove, I didn't care if I died as long as I proved somebody wrong. And now it's like, you know what? I'm going to speak my truth as my truth. And my family would always say, "Oh, you have to push through. Life must go on. The show must go on. You can't give in." And I now realize it's not giving in to do what your body needs you to do so that you can refuel and be the best version of yourself you can be. And so now that's what I do for myself, and that's what I've always taught Aaron to do, which is very interesting to me, because I always said that if I had a child, I was not going to make them feel. I know my parents didn't do it on purpose, but I wasn't going to make him feel like I felt growing up from family and friends. And so I've always taught him, you don't have to apologize for your situation. You just have to try and be, you have to learn the tricks to be able to identify what's really going on. And if you need a mental health day, you can say you need a mental health day. You just can't take 100 mental health days in a row, because you have to live. So
You
I
did a
think,
great job. You did a great job with the
thank
balance.
you.
I just want to tell you because,
Thank you.
I look at this young man. He loves music. He wears
Yep.
his headset all the time. I hear him singing when I'm talking to you. And it does not
He's in
bother
it.
him that this is something he enjoys doing and it makes him happy. So he just does it. You
Yep.
know, there are other young adults out there who would go in the bathroom and put on the water and sing quietly. It makes them feel good, but they don't want to express themselves that way. And that alone tells you that you did what you had intended to do with him. And it's
Well,
so
thank you.
funny that as we teach our children and they are growing and becoming more self-aware, and many times it helps us grow and become more self-aware, because so many of the things my son says back to me, but mom, this is what you always taught me. Why aren't you doing it? All right.
Aaron says that to me all the time. Aaron says that to me all the time. He's like, "Mom, you tell me X all the time. Why are you beating yourself up? It's
Yeah.
who you are. It's part of who you are. It's not your fault." Like, if we're talking about my diagnosis, it's not your fault. And
Yes.
the interesting thing about it is for there's a I've always said this, that I always knew that motherhood would change me. I knew when I was very young that I was born to do two things: be a mom and help others. That has never left my soul. And I always knew that being a mom or parent would change me, but I had no idea to the level that it would. And being his mother, I he has he has raised me just as much as I've raised him. He enabled me to be the very best version of myself that I am.
It's
And he
incredible.
still does that. He still
I
does
will
that.
share that with my son next week when I see him, because you know what? You actually said that
Mhm.
beautifully, and it actually expresses the way I do feel.
Well,
Um,
I just want to say one more thing. I know you're running long on time, but I need to say this to you because I heard you earlier say that you felt guilty for what for your son having to, and I've been there and I'm still there, days at a time. But what I wanted to say to you is something that Aaron always says to me. I'm sure that Nick feels the same. You know, your son feels the same way. Okay, they know that we did the best we could as we were, and they don't hold it against us for what we went through with them when they were younger.
Yes,
Because
and he has said it to me in so many words.
yeah,
And that is something that I have to heal through.
mhm.
But you are very right. Sorry, Donlin. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add that it is, and it's not even just that it was the best that we could be.
Right.
It's just that we were the best. Drop and cut the other shit off of
I
that.
agree.
It's just that you were the best.
I agree.
And wait until the moment that you have grandchildren, because that just extends that out even more, and you see the strength of your child as a parent, and then you'll really begin to see your strengths as a parent. And so I just applaud you both. I love you both so much, and
Love
I
you,
know
gals.
that your children do as well. And anyone out there that is parenting amidst all of the things, right? Even if you feel like this is a fairy tale story and it's not your story, even if you have that disruption or that separation, it's never too far of a gap that it can't be closed. And if that, though, at the same time as your experience, just know that we are all pouring our love into that gap for you, and belief that you can and will have a different experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're not alone, no matter what it is that you're experiencing out there.
You're not. I want to thank you, ladies, so much
Thank
for
you.
coming. And I do believe in the future we will certainly do. I think it's necessary for us to do an episode on parenting with the diagnosis. So
Mhm.
people see
Mhm.
that side of things as well, not just the daily living with one, but what it is like to be a parent, managing one, and also raising a child. So thank you so much. Love you both, and I'm going to bring you
Love
guys
you.
back down.
No problem. Thanks.
Thank you so much if you're still here with us. Greatly appreciate you. Tune in 2 weeks for the person behind the piano again. My sister's going to be here next week with my nephew, so I will not be doing a show. And tomorrow and the following Wednesday, Brenda Lisa Costa and I will not be doing Intention to Ink either. We will be resuming on August 13th. Just need a little bit of a break in between. So until then, take care. Go out there, live your best life. Please pay attention. If you see something, say something. And if you're not sure if you can help someone, say something to someone that you trust, that you know can. Bye bye now.